Hello, everybody. Welcome to the inaugural Men with Microphones. Today, I'm Jerry. We have Jordan, and we have Craig. This is going to be a rotating group of people that are going to come through, and we're going to discuss topics of men. Today we're going to touch on a topic that I find extremely annoying. We're going to try and define toxic masculinity. So, Jordan, what are your thoughts? I guess the first question I always have.
Yep.
Is it a thing? Does it even exist?
Toxic masculinity does not exist, in my opinion. I think it was a term made up from Western culture around the time of COVID, and it was a term to, in my opinion, dehumanize what masculinity was and is today. So what I like to do is break down the two terms within itself, toxic and masculinity. The traditional values of masculinity, in my opinion, are assertiveness, decision-making, competitiveness, and willingness to provide for family. And toxic is poisonous, right. Something that you eradicate, take out, remedy, heal. And when you look at toxic masculinity, if you remove the term toxic from masculinity and try to replace it with anything else, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So for the term to come around toxic masculinity, why does that all of a sudden become valid?
Craig?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't think it exists. I don't think. As Jordan said, it's a word that somebody put in front of masculinity. I think to reduce. I personally think it came from the strong feminist movement. Mm-hmm. The strong, listen, we don't need you to mansplain to us. We don't need men, and it's a way to reduce men without. You can get by saying that's just toxic masculinity without calling someone an asshole because right. It's cowardice. Right. It's a broad term. Something that you don't like, oh, that's just toxic. Mm-hmm. Something that you do that you might think is noble or protective is toxic. Yep. And it's a way to just reduce men to a level that I don't think is. We talked about when we were kind of setting up for the show here. You talked about it's hurting youth, right? So,
absolutely.
So Jordan, it's 25. I turned 50 in a month, and you're
older.
Okay,
53.
Older, 53. So we have kind of I think a real good section of youth versus older here.
Well, and I think another piece of that cross section is you have kids.
Yeah. My kid's the same age as Jordan.
Yeah,
so.
Your youngest.
My oldest is 25. Well, turns 25 today actually,
okay.
And my youngest is 23. So I'm real interested to see how Jordan sees this. We talked about before the show started, and I did not expect what he thought.
Right.
It was different, and it's great. So yeah, I don't think toxic masculinity exists. I don't think masculinity is bad. We talked about you can be an asshole.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of assholes out there.
Yeah, and you can use your masculinity or your strength or whatever in ways that are not good. That doesn't make it toxic for everyone.
But to that point, you can use femininity, you can use masculinity,
sure.
You can use your religion, you can use your race, you can use your economic stature.
You can add toxic to anything. So there's toxic femininity, toxic religion, toxic elitism, right? So that's why I'm saying, I don't think toxic. You said it perfectly.
Yeah,
it's a poison.
Right.
So to replace toxic with poison, with bad, with whatever,
right?
It doesn't make sense, and it's a way I think it was a way to reduce men as young boys.
It's hard to argue with.
It's hard to argue
with. Yep. Jordan and I had actually discussed that a little bit when we were waiting for you to get here.
Yeah.
Just, a little pre-show discussion. And
because as boys, right, when we're young, right, boys are rambunctious. Boys jump off buildings and jump bikes, and they do quite frankly, dumb stuff.
Right.
So
Predisposition to take risk. Yeah.
for sure.
Right. Impulsive.
Yeah. But that masculinity, that drive to do some of the crazy stuff is what men need to do to go to war, to build wonderful big buildings, to build roads. Not that females and women can't.
Right.
There's a lot of smart women. I mean, some of my business mentors are women.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
But that doesn't mean that because they can do it, that the man needs to be reduced to for whatever reason because, well, I can do it. Great.
Well,
that's fantastic. Good.
But it's like any good partnership. You have women have their strengths, men have their strengths, and they're different.
Absolutely.
And they're different. So, right, I would agree with what you said. You don't want to, if my strength is different than yours, the key to you and I getting along isn't me reducing your strengths to match mine.
Right.
And it's about all of us should be working to elevate ourselves. And if we get to that point where we feel like I'm maxed out and I'm still not at your level, well, then I'm going to take advantage of you being at your level, and then I'm going to assist where I can with my strengths.
Right.
And I think that's the piece of the puzzle that so many people miss.
Yeah, but nobody's ever going to be at the same level, right?
No,
I mean,
we're never going to be the same.
So the what's the saying? You're gonna laugh at this, Jerry, but do what you do best and outsource the rest, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. But it's true. It's true. Yes.
You find people that I've said numerous times, like my strength in general is people. I'm good with people.
Absolutely.
That's really all I'm really good at. So I'm not good with. I mean, you have an accounting major, and so do you. I'm not good with math. I freely admit that. I freaking hate math. Yeah. I don't understand it. I can add 2 and 2 and maybe get 4, and that's about the extent of my abilities. So I'm not gonna do anything that involves math.
Right.
I will find somebody to involve that does math, and so it goes on from there. Like my strengths are this, your strengths are that. So great, let's combine our strength and then just be better as a whole.
Yeah, and I love that you guys are using that term reduce, right? It's reducing men at the end of the day, because when you look at masculinity, you're talking about traits that typically apply to men, right? So when you're reducing somebody who instinctively wants to do something, imagine the harm that's doing to the youth in progression. Right? And there's this big talk about being a progressive movement, but when you're using a progressive movement and using negative connotation, then is that actually promoting growth?
Well, no, it's reduction.
Right. So if you're, I mean, we'll use Craig as an example. I know you're big into basketball, and the boys were. So if you're a basketball coach, do you praise the kids when they do something well and then push them to even go better? Or do you just browbeat the shit out of them when they do something wrong and make them feel terrible about it?
Yeah, well,
I mean, there's a combination.
Yeah.
Right. But if you had to, again, this is not real world, but if you had to pick one or the other, if that was going to be your legacy, you have to either be positive with these kids or negative with these kids. Which builds the better athlete?
Negativity, I think, will build the better athlete but it has to be done in
but in the athlete, what about the person?
Honestly, I that's a tough one, and I'll tell the reason is because think about the great, not athletes. I mean, the great business minds of our world, the great actors, right? They have a level of self drive that most do not.
Right.
And so in their mind,
that's what separates real success.
For sure.
Period. Yeah.
So there's a great story. Okay, to use a basketball analogy, there's a great story about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's one of the greatest basketball players ever, right?
Absolutely.
Michael Jordan. Okay, fine. He told a story once, and I don't remember who it was. It was a rookie came in, and he's like, I'm gonna beat Kobe. So he gets in at 4 a.m. Kobe's already there.
Yep.
And this guy went through his whole workout, which was hours, right? These guys played hours and hours of basketball practice. And the guy was just tired, was done. Kobe was still there. And this went on for like several months, right? Kobe was always there. And he talked about, so later on when this rookie it was a couple years into the league, and he said, Kobe, why? And he's like, because I knew you were there.
Yeah.
And that's I think so. You spin that to the negative side. Super successful people, athletes, business owners, etc., never are happy, and so they always have, I think, some self-doubt and some negativity towards themselves. So if you can push someone with negative, like, listen, if you want to do this, you got to do better because you're not doing. I know you can do more. That's
right.
the negativity piece. So I guess it's positive plus negative.
Well, yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to just say you suck, you suck, you suck.
right. That's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
When you just constantly browbeat them that they're just not good enough.
Yeah.
You can't do that to people. Now, I'm not of that woke mentality that everyone gets a participation trophy.
Right, and that's where I was trying to go with it.
Right.
Was like, because if you say, yeah, you're great, good job,
Right.
Jordan. Right?
Oh no! Yeah,
but
well, and back to this, you look at the superstars. They're not driven. They all say, I'm here for the. And it's not an individual sport. I'm here for the team. We're here to win a championship. I'm not here to set a record. I'm here to win a championship. I'm sorry, but that Lombardi Trophy, that does not drive them.
No.
When they lose, that's what drives them.
Right.
That's what drives them. So I don't think you're wrong about the negativity side. My point is, you can't. As a coach, you just can't browbeat these kids and tell them they're worthless, even when they're not.
No, and you got to celebrate.
Because
You gotta
kids
celebrate
learn
the-
helplessness, right? Especially at a young age when your
Right.
brain is a sponge. If you constantly beat somebody down, they're going to just eventually say, you know what? Why?
That's it,
Why
right?
even try?
That's a good
Why?
point.
Because
That's a
I
good point.
cannot gain
And I'm-
acceptance
Yep.
or I cannot gain the ability to
Right.
succeed in this industry.
So I want you to talk about. Sorry, what did you?
Well, I'm just getting behind. I want to address one thing from each of you guys. Your comment earlier: do what you do best, outsource the rest.
Yep.
Okay. And let's in business, that's a huge thing, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's a huge thing. The fault with that is, in my opinion, okay, I believe that if you live by do what you do best and outsource the rest, it creates laziness. And because what happens is, like in your case, you're like, I don't know math, I'm gonna let somebody else do that. Okay. If it's your 9 to 5 and we're just talking, you're just trying to pay the bills, and it's not going to affect, if you really understand what you're doing with that section of the job versus just outsourcing it, it really isn't going to matter in the long run, then I'm with you 100%. If it's going to streamline things.
Right.
But at the end
I
of
know
the
where you're
day,
going.
but at the end of the day, you don't necessarily, it's not your strength. So I wouldn't say that you need to just buckle down and do it, but you should.
But I should learn it.
But you should learn it.
Yeah.
Right? You should know
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that is the flaw in do what you do best and outsource the rest, is when you take that 100%. Because it you really should even if you're going to outsource
Maybe
it.
that should be amended. It's like, do what you do best and outsource the rest today, and then learn it tomorrow.
But understand it. Yeah, but because you look
And then
at,
don't get complacent.
Yeah.
right,
on
and
it.
don't
Yeah.
get complacent. And I mean, talk about embezzlement. Why does embezzlement happen? Because guys that own the company don't know math. Right? I mean, they're not paying attention. They're too. I mean, there's many factors.
Yeah.
They're too busy. Let's face it. Donald Trump. Look at this guy. Elon Musk. If someone snuck 20 grand out of Elon Musk's $340 billion,
He ain't gonna know.
he's not going to see that.
Yeah.
Now you hope that there's enough things in place, somebody sees it, blah blah blah. But my point is, on that grand scheme of things, when you have little kids in the house, right, and you've got a change jar, and you walk in and there's a fistful of quarters missing, you don't notice it. Right.
Right.
So there's a point of you should understand those things. But you're right, in business at the end of the day, when you become Elon Musk, when you become Donald Trump, you can't manage the front desk at at Trump Plaza in Vegas when you're Donald Trump. You just got to know the building's there. Right? It
And my
works.
name's on it.
My
and
name's on
it's
it.
gonna
and-
take care of itself. Yeah.
And when I call and say I'm going to be in Vegas, I want the penthouse. You got to know that someone knows who you are and they're going to give it to you.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing I want to address that you said earlier, right in the beginning, was that the term toxic masculinity came during COVID. I'm going to disagree with that.
Yeah. Me too.
Yep.
I do think, to your point, that it was wildly spread during COVID. I think
Yeah. I
that's
think it was
really,
accelerated.
right. I think that's
during
really
COVID.
where the brand recognition, if you want to use that term, came during COVID. I think toxic masculinity is probably about 7 or 8 years older than that. I'm going to say 2013, 14. When you start seeing guys like, well, even in 15, when Donald Trump, I'm going to not make it political, but when he ran for office, right, we had all the deplorables.
Yeah.
Who was Hillary talking about? She was talking about that 18 to 45-year-old guys were uneducated, were barbaric, were toxic, right?
Yeah.
And we're following this ape that's going to run for president and ruin the country. We had guys that started coming into their own, like Joe Rogan, the Rogan Experience. Who follows Joe Rogan, right? That 18 to 45, that toxic, if you're on the woke side of this, it's those horrible deplorables, guys like Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson, if you guys ever listen to Jordan Peterson,
I do.
He really relates. Now, when you listen to him, the first 3 minutes of listening to him, the accent, the verbiage that he uses, right? The way he articulates, and he does not seem like a guy that would resonate with 18 to 30-year-old men for the most part.
I think his brilliance is because he is so smart,
right?
But he can make dumb guys like me understand it and really break it out and be like, okay, this is what I mean by this. And he says it in just basic language.
And you can't not understand it.
Right. Right.
But like I said, at that first, like when you hear a 10-second, 20-second clip of him, he does not, to me, he's not my guy. Right? I'm not.
No, he uses a lot of big words.
Yeah, I don't consider myself an intellectual, and a lot of my friends.
Whatever, you're a math nerd too.
That's different. That's different. That's numbers. That's not people.
Math.
That's not
Math.
But you know what I'm saying? It's just he doesn't come across as, when I listen to him for a few seconds, he doesn't come across the guy that I'd go have a beer with.
True.
But then you listen to him for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 7 hours. All of a sudden you're like, I get this guy. This guy gets me.
Yeah.
He gets it. And he's easy to follow. But again, who followed him? That 18 to 30, 45-year-old guys, the deplorables. And I keep going back to that Hillary term. But that was one of the, I'm not easily offended. And when she came out with that, it was like, bitch, are you serious?
Right.
This is, you can't, in business, we talk about how you can't talk politics. You can't be, you can't try and just get under someone's skin because you're going to lose clients over it. In politics, that's the same thing. And we've become this divisive where, well, I'm willing to sacrifice these guys to get these guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, can't we all try to get along? Can't we all try to do things that are going to be, when Hillary wants this, it might benefit you a little more than me, but it shouldn't curse me to benefit you. And then Trump, same way. He whoever the person is.
Right.
So that's why I say, I think toxic masculinity was developed, I think, mainly in politics and media. I hate to use the term fake news. It's been so beat up and overused. But when you look at mainstream media, they needed something that they could attack you with that you really can't fight back.
Right.
And that's what toxic masculinity is. It's hard to fight back.
Yeah, and this is why I'm interested, Jordan, in your thoughts on these. And we talked about it before. Because you're 25, you grew up in this, right? Jerry and I, we didn't have to deal with this. We were already, I guess, older men, and we don't give two shits about what people. I don't care what people think of me.
Right.
If you don't like me, you don't like me.
Yep.
You want to call me toxic, fine. That's fine. But you, right, being 25, you've been told this now. What'd you say? Since before high school.
Yep. So, I guess to kind of rewind. So when I was a kid, I don't mean to get off topic here, but draw back to what you were saying as far as coaching, right? So I grew up football and wrestling, very, very hyper aggressive, physical sports.
Yeah, for sure.
The greatest coaches, whether you're man or woman, because they were also both at the time.
Not both in today's terms.
Exactly.
Sorry.
But so what I was saying is the greatest coaches showed great masculinity, right?
Yeah.
And it's the ability to make decisions. Imagine you're in the national championship football game, down to the last drive, offense, right? You need to carry out a play that's going to make sense. Do you want a head coach there that is unable to make that decision or willing to take the risk?
Right.
Well, or unwilling to take the risk because of offense, right? Because he may have. I mean, like you're in a.
Well, we don't want to pick on the shortest DB.
Well,
right.
I mean, seriously, it's like let's throw to our star player because the matchup is great.
But let's take that.
We can't pick on him because he's our worst player.
Yeah, or if you have if you need 1 yard, right, and you've got a big fella, right?
Right.
Think refrigerator Perry, right?
Right.
I mean, nobody was tackling that guy. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay. Refrigerator Perry played for the Bears.
When they played football.
Yeah. He's like 6'8", 350 pounds, and he was a running back. He was a lineman, but they'd put him in on running back place.
Yeah. He was a lineman, but they'd hand him the ball.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like,
who's going to tackle that guy? Yeah. So that, to your point, is you want somebody to say, I need you to go out there and just beat the shit out of this line and run it in there.
Right.
And that is not toxic.
Right.
No.
And so why do
aggressive.
young kids,
Right.
why
So
do
look
young
at a
kids,
guy like
especially
that.
men, excel very well in sports when a father figure isn't available in the household? It's
Say that
because-
again? What'd you say?
So young men do well in sports and do better in school when they're in sports is because if they don't have a masculine figure at home, they can find that in sports, drive, and
that's interesting.
teach you how to become a better version of yourself, right?
Right.
Interesting.
Be a better man, but be a better version of yourself, because they look at this role model as somebody who is emotionally in control, right? Who is decisive, right? Who experiences these traits that they look forward to in a man.
Yep. And they don't get to see it all the time because it's not at home.
Right.
Yeah.
And, we've, as a parent, I'm going to leave you out of this part, for a second, but as a parent, I'm going to assume I'm right on this with your boys. I know it was with all 5 of mine. I got along, obviously, as their dad. I got along with my kids great, and I think they respected me. But if I told them, okay, let's do it like this, 1, 2, 3, and they'd be like, I'm going to do it this way. Now you walk in and go, if you did this 1, 2, 3, I think it'd be better for you. And they'd be like, oh, I'll give that a try. It's like, that's exactly what I said a day ago as your dad, and you ignored me.
Yeah.
But when you don't have that dad there to tell you 1, 2, 3, they're already looking. When the dad's there, they're looking to you. Now the dad's not there, and they can go to that coach. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. But interesting, I think, with that. So as a dad, right, I would say do this 1, 2, 3. Their masculinity, right, allows them to say, I don't know. Okay, fine, you can try it that way, and maybe it works, right? But maybe, but you know what? I mean, I am a little older. I've done this, but go ahead, try it your way. But I think that's a great, section of saying like, well, okay, if you don't have masculinity, then the boy is like, yes, right? And you shouldn't always just say yes, right? You should say you should push back,
right?
And that, I think, goes to sports, right? Even with great coaches, and great coaches will tell you like, my best players will push back on me because they respect me,
and you let them get laid out once in a while.
Yeah,
to
for
show
sure.
them that, well, let's try it my way and see.
Yeah. They respect the coach. They respect that masculinity because they need it. That's a great point. Right. They need that outlet.
But imagine the harm that's being done, especially from a movement that is trying to promote growth in society. Right? The progressive term. Imagine the harm you're doing to tell kids that masculinity right there is toxic. You can't do that. Right? Or you're going to regress or imagine the harm that's doing, because it's creating confusion in kids that need direction.
And it's got to be so stunting for them.
Right.
I mean, like, that's not the right word, but like...
Well, I think it is. I think it absolutely is. Yeah, I think you're right on the money. Because kids, when they grow up to be adults, it's not like you just walk through a portal and now I know everything because I'm an adult. And now I can just wash away my childhood and all these learned behaviors, because now I'm an adult and I know better. No, that's not how this works. Your learned behavior is going to carry with you the rest of your life. Now, hopefully somewhere along the line, you get in a pickle that gets you, some education, gets you some life education, but life experience, where you go, maybe I should question this, but not everybody gets that. It's like you said, when you look at the great athletes, when you look at the great innovators, look at Elon Musk. He's not an athlete, but that guy, how many times did he fail? How many times did he take it in the shorts? When you read his story, not everything he touched turned to gold.
Right.
But now some of us, you take it in the shorts, you're like, well, I'm not very good at this. I'm done. And then you go punch a clock, you get a job, whatever.
And that goes to what you talked about was leadership, right? That breeds leadership. I mean, if everybody said, well, I'm done. Right.
Right.
I failed.
Right.
I guess that's it. Because if I try again, becomes toxic.
Right.
You know, that's a really good again for young people.
Yeah.
We talked about it's a meme, but I mean, it says strong men create easy times, easy times create weak men, weak men create hard times create strong men, and it's that cycle. And it's like, look at where we're at, folks. I think we're in hard times right now because we've been so woke.
Yeah.
And I think now we're starting to see a little bit of that trending back to, you better toughen up. But the people that are in charge of our children and that we put in charge of our children, these educators, I'm not a fan of today's education.
Yeah, because you talked about it earlier, right? With college.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
and so one more thing. So you pointed at what makes a great leader, right? Is beating them down when they need it, but also lifting them up when they need it as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So if a bad coach is somebody who constantly beats them down, is that toxic masculinity or is that just a toxic trait?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that just a toxic man trait that he possesses?
And where did it come from?
Right.
Right. What influenced him into being toxic?
Right.
We said it earlier. Is there toxic masculinity or are there just men that are assholes?
Yeah.
I think you can be, you defined masculinity earlier in the show. I'm going to give you now, I want to readdress one more thing too. 25, 50, 53, newly married, right? No kids.
No kids.
Okay. Not newly married.
Nope.
Married up, but not new.
Yeah. Fair enough. Way up.
Way up, Jody. Good job. But you have two very responsible, good young men.
Thank you. Appreciate
Okay.
that. Very proud of my boys.
Right? No grandchildren.
No grandchildren.
Okay. 53, mixed family. I have 2 kids of my own. I have 3 of Heather's. We're a family. I have a 7-month-old grandbaby, almost 8-month-old grandbaby now. So that separates me out to another level as far as, the grandkids. When I was 25, masculinity was more physical.
Yeah, for sure.
I would definitely say, like you. I mean, I was never. Obviously, I'm 5'8", so I've never been your size.
Right.
And so I never walked in a room going, "Yep, I'm the baddest man in this room." Never did. But it doesn't stop you from looking around the room going, you're young, you're going out to the bar, you're hanging out, and you're kind of looking around the room going, "We'll stay away from that crowd. We'll stay away from that guy," kind of thing. Or the ones.
That's why I found Jordan's definition was very interesting to me, right? Because again, being 25, I didn't expect that. I just I didn't expect you to agree with toxic masculinity or think that it was a thing, but your definition of what makes masculinity a thing or whether it's good or bad was interesting to me.
Yeah. But I think part of that too is Jordan's very, very intelligent guy. And I think you were, in my opinion, I think that the reason you have that, or one of the factors in why you have the idea that you have or the opinion you have, I think you were obviously experiencing all of the woke influence, right? And the toxic masculinity conversations and the people that were talking to you about that, they believe it exists. Right. I 100% believe that. They didn't make it up. They really believe it's a thing. But you were able to decipher that at a young age into what it really is. That it's not really a thing. It's their belief, but it's not really a thing. And I can be masculine without being toxic. They don't go together.
Absolutely not.
They're two things that you can have together.
Like I said, replace toxic with any other word.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense.
Honestly, that's
People
one of the best.
That's horrendous. That doesn't make sense. You can't put those two together.
Yep.
That's one of the.
But see, now you come to my age, plenty of kids, now a grandkid on the horizon, right? And all their friends, and you've met their friends. I mean, I'm not even. I wouldn't try to put a number on it. How many young people have called me dad, right? Because you just have that relationship. When my
I'm not
kids'
calling
friends.
you dad.
Yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate that. But my kids' friends, they just come over. They don't knock. They walk in the door. It's like, "Hey, Dad, how's it going?" And it's just, I'm not their dad,
Right.
But they know it. For me, the definition of masculinity, it boils down to 2 words, and I can make it very simple. At my age, at my experience, it's about providing for your family, you're a provider, and you protect your family, you're a protector. So if you want to talk to me about masculinity, it's not about being 8 feet tall. It's not about being the baddest ass in the room. It's about being willing to do everything you have within your power to protect your family and provide for them.
Right.
If you're a protector and provider, you're a man.
Yeah.
And I will not apologize for that. And I will never, ever try to make anyone feel bad for being the protector or the provider.
Right. But so talk about age, right? That's important to you at the age of 50 plus.
Yeah.
What's important to people my age and
Right.
younger?
Yeah.
It's different. It
Just
is
out of
different.
high school or
Yep,
even
it
in high
evolves.
school, 16, 17, 18 years old, when you're developing these concepts and these mindsets, what's important to them at the time?
Right. That's
Women.
it evolves.
Women.
At the end of the day, it's women. I can't tell you, you go and look for a great paying job, you go to college to eventually find somebody or a partner,
To share
but
it with.
you're chasing girls, you're chasing
Right.
tail at the end of the day.
Right.
So I mean, so when you have all these
That's why
woke
having
women,
daughters is scary.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Right,
but
'cause-
you have all these woke women that are pushing this idea of your masculine traits are toxic. I guarantee you, put us in a room together, right? The woman is going to go eventually with the person that demands respect and the person that is confident in who they are and experiences and displays more masculine traits.
Yeah, for sure.
Biologically, women are going to pursue that. Even if they don't like it, they're still going to end up with that person. So if you're 17, 18, 19 years old and you're listening to this, the woman's not going to go for the person that's indecisive
Right.
and doesn't know
Unless
who
he's got
they
a
are.
Ferrari.
They're going to go for somebody who
What?
experiences.
Unless he's got a Ferrari. That changes things.
Right,
But-
right.
but
But
you
in
know-
order to get that Ferrari, you had to
but
make
you-
certain risks and
Right.
make certain
Right.
decisions.
But I think that woman, this is so interesting because like I watch a lot of the like Facebook reels and stuff like that of like the whatever podcast, right? I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen them. Right? You have these young women on there, and they they talk about like this one I don't remember the name. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but she talked about like she had a great guy and good money, but she was cheating on him because he wasn't that masculine. She went with some dude in L.A.
Right.
Right. That, like some whatever.
He didn't earn her respect.
Yeah.
A
So,
woman won't cheat if she respects you.
Yeah. So it's really interesting, like because like you said, you 25, you're just newly married. Congratulations, but
Appreciate it.
and but like you said, you went to college and you had to kind of navigate. I just can't even imagine. I
Yeah.
can't imagine honestly.
Right.
Like you said, a 16, 17-year-old kid today.
Right.
What they're being told. They're being told, like I said, calm down.
Right.
Relax. Like that's toxic.
Yeah.
That argument that you put in the front of the show. That is probably the best. I think one of
Absolutely.
the best ways to combat that. Like take toxic out and put a synonym in it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So right. Cinnamon.
Yeah, it's cinnamon. Yeah,
Cinnamon?
cinnamon. It's a roll. They're delicious.
Synonym.
Oh yeah.
Synonym.
Synonym. Yeah, but you put poison. You put
Sorry, Jody.
horrendous. Yeah, right. You put poison. You put horrendous. You put whatever word you want in front of it.
And
It
it's
doesn't
ridiculous.
work.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And
Yep.
that's I think you just say if you can roll that out to somebody and say that's how essentially what you're saying.
Yeah.
It changes. I think it would change a lot of people's mindset immediately if
Yeah,
you say
absolutely.
it because toxic masculinity.
Poison masculinity.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense.
That's the
Okay.
best one, honestly. Poison.
Cancer masculinity. And that's what I was saying is,
Right.
poison is cancer. And what do you do with cancer? You take it out.
Right. You get rid of it.
Right. So you can't take out masculinity because then you completely debunk your whole progressive movement.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Because you're regressing as a society.
Right.
That's really interesting. Yeah, that's really.
But
great.
why do we not hear toxic femininity?
Well, I think I've thought about that because if you say that,
Right.
you become the toxic masculine.
Right.
So
Well, again, you can't argue with it. It's
Yeah.
very difficult. I shouldn't say you can't, but it's very difficult to argue with. And the more you argue, I mean, all right, let's talk controversy. Let's compare it to COVID vaccines. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have these big pharmas that are putting billions of dollars into our country politically, right?
Yep.
These lobbyists, they get away with no liability. So
Yep.
if you take their shot and something bad happens to you, which it won't because this is the savior, but if something bad happens, you can't come back on us.
yeah,
But there's nothing to worry about because this is perfectly safe. And we all heard this, if you get the shot, you won't get COVID. You can't give COVID to someone else.
stops it.
Right, stops it. Done. But if something bad happens, We're not going to take any liability. Then they're like, well, we'll start having problems. Well, what's in it? Well, we went to the people that we've been giving billions of dollars to, and the lawmakers in Congress who make $150,000, $70,000 a year that are worth $20 million after 3 or 4 or 5 years in Congress. Somehow those folks said, we don't have to tell you what's in it for 75 years.
Yeah.
Again, so if I argue that without having any of this data available because you're being protected, when I say, well, maybe I don't want to get the vaccine because I'm afraid of it, well, you're a coward. You're going to put my family at risk. I'm not going to let you see your grandkids. I'm not going to let you see your nieces and nephews because you're the problem. How do you argue that? I have no basis because these people have been protected. It's all about this woke mentality, and it's about that the
compliance, I think.
Well, it is, and it's like, and if you don't comply, you're the problem. It's like, but compliance could be the problem.
Yeah.
But you don't get to argue that. They just get.
But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Even if you comply, now you have to show me.
Yeah.
Why?
It's not just about compliance.
Yeah. Now it's demoralizing somebody.
Right.
It's like I want to break you down to the point of not only did you comply and apologize, I want you to make up for it in some way.
Right.
And I think that goes like to back to the toxic masculinity. I mean, it's such a broad term, you can't argue with it. It can cover a broad range of actions. So if you say to a man, well, you're just being toxic. That's toxic masculinity. Like you said, well, to break that person down, to reduce that man to something less than he is, but it never stops there. It's not because then it's the next like, well, that one, that's also toxic masculinity. So you need to stop doing that. And the next thing you know, you've got a generation. Again, you're in that generation.
Confused individuals.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it's just
okay. So Craig and I, we've known each other for quite a while. You and I've known each other for a bit now. I consider both of you guys great human beings. I mean, I would trust you with whatever I had to, and I wouldn't question your judgment on things, right? I like to have discussions like this because we're going to differ in little areas, but it's never going to be life-changing, in my opinion. I think the group of us here are all good people. But on the same token, if I talk to London or I talk to Jody, you guys talk to Heather, there's no way that if they're completely honest, they're not going to give us stories of
for sure.
you being an asshole. Right? Of me being a jerk, of you getting out of hand.
Why? Because they respect us. And they don't want to dehumanize or break us down as a man.
Right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, no matter how good a person the three of us can be or have been or are as on a daily basis, we've all made our mistakes.
We're not perfect.
No, we've all been a jerk at some point or other, and we had to be a jerk to someone.
Yeah.
But now, because I had words with Heather 2 years ago, she's going to remember that because it doesn't happen very often.
Right.
So she's going to remember that. And if you ask her about it, she'll tell you, you know. Now, should I be labeled as toxic, as a toxic human being because her and I had words one time when I was having a bad day, she was having a bad day. We, when I'm at 10%, I need her to be at 90% to make up the difference, right? What happens when you both come home at 20% one day? Bad things happen. Yeah. You have words. Whatever. Comments come out that you didn't really mean or whatever.
Labeling is so powerful too.
Right. But now for her 2 years later to hang on to that and tell everyone that I'm toxic.
Right.
Right. Now she wouldn't do that and I wouldn't do that to her. But we're good people.
We'll get into this later on because one of the things on our list here about this topic is impact on women. But I think that's a great, how does this affect them? Right. Because like you said,
London loves it. Like we have our differing opinions, but she respects the fact that I know who I am.
Yep.
She loves your masculinity.
Yeah. Exactly.
Great. Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying though is, let's say you have a woman that constantly holding on to it, right? Can't let go and really thinks that toxic masculinity is a thing.
Right.
How does that affect them in their personal life and their personal growth to find a spouse, to find a partner in life? Because if every time that man does something that they don't like and they can label it as toxic,
they label them in their mind and they can't move past it.
Yeah, I mean,
and we all know. I mean, this has been proven. Study after study. If you get up in the morning, fuck, this day is going to be terrible.
Yeah,
and then you have breakfast, like the milk's not cold enough. You know what I mean? My heated steering wheel went out. Oh my God, my life's over.
That's a negative person. I don't want them in my life.
Right. But we all know those people.
Yeah.
Right? Every one of us know those people where you look on Facebook, you look on social media. It's
always something.
It's always FML. I mean, I am proud to say that up until a few years ago, I looked at that and I'm like, okay, well, they're bitching. I don't know what FML meant, right? Because I'm an old guy, right? But I know that, but they're always whining. And then Heather's sister actually is the one that told me what it meant. And I'm like, seriously, you're going to go on social media. Now, my idea of social media is I should only see the things that make me want to, when I look at Jordan's feed on Facebook or social media, I should want to be Jordan because just show me the good stuff. Right? You know what I mean? It's
well,
like just
I have a different opinion on that, which we're going to get off topic on that because I think people on social media especially show the life that they want everybody to think they have.
Right.
And that's not true.
It's not. But my point is that's how if I have to be between the guy that only shows me the awesome things, and then I've got a guy
the FML guy,
and then I got the FML guy that's just always FML this, FML that. It's just like, you know, your heated steering wheel went out and FML.
Yeah, that's
seriously.
Fair. That's a fair point.
That's, you know, so that's my point. I'd rather.
But that's why it's control of emotion, right?
Yeah.
If you just wear your emotion on your sleeve and just like, however I feel is, I'm going to just present that to everybody.
You know what I want to play right now? I want to find, which I'm not, but I want to find the Jordan Peterson, one of his podcasts where he talks about every man should be a monster. That is probably one of my favorite.
I've heard clips of it. I haven't heard the whole podcast.
And I'm not going to do it justice. Jordan Peterson's a much better man than me. But when he comes out, he says, every man should be a monster. He said, if you're weak, right? If you're woke, if you're weak and you are not capable of violence, not being violent is not a virtue.
Yeah.
So his thing is we should all be monsters. We should all be capable of violence. Then learn how to control it. Emotional control. When I get into a situation and a guy gets in my face and I can just diffuse the situation, even though I know that I carry a 9mm, I could take this guy out. Right. If it comes down to that, I could escalate this till he threatens my life, and I could shoot him. I mean, now I'm not your age. I'm not going to go fisticuffs with anybody anymore, right?
And the most dangerous people in society are men. Monsters without emotional control.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you know, his point is we should all be monsters, and then we should all learn how to control it. Because being capable of violence, choosing not to be violent, is virtuous. Being weak, incapable of violence, and being calm, it's not a virtue.
Yeah.
You have no option. Joe Rogan said, I'm sure this isn't his quote, but when he was talking with Jordan Peterson, he said, so it's kind of like you'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's another one of my favorite quotes. I don't know whose it is, but I mean, I heard it from Rogan, but it's like,
I've heard that.
Yeah, but I've heard it. I'd heard it in the past before, but that one really hit me with Jordan Peterson. We should all be monsters.
Yep.
And then learn how to control it. And he relates it to like martial arts, where you learn how to be lethal with your bare hands or small tools.
I would
learn how to control it.
I would disagree. I would flip them around. I would learn how to control your monster, or learn how to control your emotion, and then identify your monster. I think if you identify your monster before you have emotional control, or before you learn how to
that's true. You have to start with the control first.
Start with the control, then the monster. But
I don't know that was his point, was the order. His point was you should be capable of violence and be able to control it. That's where the virtue comes in, is having a reign on.
And that goes back to the masculinity piece of are you able to protect, your loved ones, your family, whoever is or what you want to protect? Are you able to do that? Are you able to do that if the time calls on it?
Right.
But then when that threat, so to speak, is eliminated or is over, okay, now can I rein it back in?
Right.
And just goes back to, Jody, like I have a temper. I'll be the first to admit it.
Right.
And Jody
most guys do.
Jody would be, she would say yes, and so would my kids.
And why do men protect? It's because it's their duty to do so.
Right. It's
ingrained in us.
It
I
is,
think, right? I mean,
it is. I mean, let's face it. Most guys aren't motherly.
No,
we're not.
No,
we're not. Now, protect and provide, but not motherly.
Right.
Now, I mean, here's a quick one. It was a viral video from a few years ago. It was I believe it was Chicago. Don't hold me to that. Do your own research, but I believe it was Chicago. But it shows a woman whose son had robbed a convenience store, and he was shot by police, and he was killed.
Mm-hmm. I can remember this. Yeah.
Now, no dad in the picture, right? So he never had that. to your point, which comes first, the control or the monster? I think they're simultaneous. I think that if you have a good masculine figure in your life, that father figure, I think they teach you, because as a child, you can scream, you can holler, you can kick the coffee table, but you're not a threat to anybody.
Right.
Right? And so that's where your monster starts.
Right.
And there's not a lot of emotional control in a child,
Right.
you know, but if you work those together as a parenting couple, you know, if you have a mother and a father, you've got the motherly figure, you've got the masculine dad. I think those come together and you grow to be that person.
Right.
My example is this gal in Chicago. She is on the news doing their little report, and no father in the home. The son goes in and robs a convenience store, gets shot and killed by police. We're going to damn the police because they killed this young man while he was threatening a shop owner with
Right.
death as he stole something. Her point was that the police are out of control. Her son, they don't have any money. They're poor. They're in a rough part of Chicago. He went in to try and he stole from this. I mean, and he didn't break in at night. It wasn't a burglary. This was literally a holdup with people's lives in his hands while he's stealing things. And she thinks the police are at fault because her son should be able to rob a convenience store and not be afraid for his life. Now, she understands. She made the comment, you know, along the lines of, sure, you know, is he breaking the law? Yes. Should he get arrested if he gets caught? Yes. But he shouldn't be afraid for his life. He can threaten someone else's life, but he shouldn't be afraid of his. There is not a man on the planet that's masculine, that's truly a man, that would agree with that.
I truly can't wrap my head around that.
No.
Right.
I truly can't. I mean, I
Nobody
can't.
wants to lose their child, even when they make mistakes,
Sure.
when they do something stupid.
And I just look at things analytically. Take the kid robbing the convenience store out of the equation. Would a cop die? Would people's lives have been in danger? No. Put the cops out of the equation. The lives are still in danger. The store is still being robbed.
Right.
The crime is still being committed.
So you can't
People are still in
pinpoint
danger.
that down on the cops being the bad guys.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I can't like how does she justify that? How does she rectify that?
Because, but to be fair, and again, this isn't my wokeness coming out, but I can't wrap my head around the logic. Okay, it's not logical.
Right.
She's a mom, right? We're not moms. We don't have that motherly thing. So for her to feel that bad and have to find someone to blame except her child, I do get that. I do understand that.
I
think it's
understand that. I
yeah.
think that I don't think that's a mother or father thing. I mean, you have compassion and empathy for your kids, especially.
Right, but as a dad, you wouldn't come out and say my kid shouldn't be afraid for his life when he's threatening someone else's life. No, that's what she's saying.
No.
But a mother, that's different. I do believe that that's an inherent difference between men and women, mothers and fathers. We're not motherly.
But it's also a biological instinct in a mother to protect her child.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So.
But okay, let me ask you this then: what if the cops never showed up and the guy that got killed was killed, the kid was killed? What if the shop owner shot that person?
Right.
I mean, is the shop owner now at fault?
Okay.
I mean, in the mom's eyes, that's what how do you?
But we've had that. Where do you? I mean, how many times you heard? So you're telling me that your stuff is worth more than my life? We've had that. That has been said many times when there's someone killed in a burglary or in a home invasion, and they're like, I can't believe you value your stuff more than a human life. You killed the guy that robbed you. Just let him have the TV. It's like, guys, you're in the wrong place, wrong time. This is my stuff. This is my house, and for me,
It's the right to protect yourself, though.
Right.
See, now
yeah,
for me,
and that's where I immediately go.
Because they're just as unpredictable as you are,
absolutely.
and they're entering your home where it's your atmosphere. It's
And
your
who's to
safe
say
space.
that this person coming in isn't some monster
Right.
that is unable to control their emotions?
Right. So
And-
as you guys know, I own a gun shop. I am a firearms instructor, right? So I mean, if someone needs a permit to carry, I instruct that, right?
Yep.
I am that guy. So for me, my argument has always been when they come in and say, so your TV is worth more than his life. It's like, you know what? Again, I'm going to give you that and say no. My $200 or $1,200, whatever it is, TV is not worth more than his life. But I don't know him. He didn't call me at 2:00 and go, hey, I'm going to break in your house at 3 this morning. I'm just going to take the TV and I'm going to go about my business.
You don't know what that person.
You don't know what that person's going to do. I know that he's not allowed in my house.
Yeah.
I know that him being in my living room while I'm asleep, my kids, my wife, my dogs, whatever the case is, he doesn't belong there.
Right.
And if he's willing to do that, I cannot fathom. I cannot wrap my head around sneaking in someone's house at 2 a.m. while they're sleeping.
Right.
I can't. I just can't wrap my head around that. So the fact that he can, what's he capable of?
Yeah.
Okay? So at that point, this isn't about your life isn't worth as much as my TV. You made a poor choice, and that's going to cost you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem. And that's not toxic masculinity. That is, I don't know if my family is safe. And if I just look at it going, okay, he's just going to take the TV, I'm going to watch him, and if he leaves, I'll leave him be. Does that mean he's not going to come back tomorrow because I let him get away with it once?
Right.
And where does it escalate? Is he on drugs?
That's the same exact. That's the opposite of like you said, about compliance, right? If you never are fully compliant,
right?
They would never. You'll never. Okay, just stop doing that, and then that's the end of it. No, stop doing that, and then this next thing, and then this the next thing.
Right.
So that was what you're describing is in reverse. Well,
right.
you let them take the TV this time. Hey, you know what? Now I want your TV and your computer.
Yeah.
Right.
And
right.
now I want your TV, computer, and your
daughter.
Yeah,
but
daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
Where does it end?
So biologically, you have a fight or flight instinct, and in most case scenarios, when you're being robbed and you have a gun, your instinct is to fight and protect, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you have all that adrenaline pumping, what's going through your mind is to protect your family at all costs.
Right.
It's not, I'm going to shoot him in the foot so that way he's hurt, and then I'm going to call the cops. No, I'm going to stop you from potentially harming me and my family.
Okay, let me ask you this, Jordan. Have you ever been through any firearms training?
No.
No. Okay. Again, firearms trainer. When I train you, okay, and we're going to talk about any kind of situation where there's another human being involved. I'm not teaching you long-range shooting to catch an elk in Montana. I'm talking self-defense.
Right.
Okay? You don't ever aim for anything on another human being. Center mass. That's the term. Center mass means right here. That is that chest, abdomen area. Mm-hmm. If you ever go to a range and shoot at a human target.
Yeah, they don't have the waist down, do they?
They don't have the waist down. It is waist up. And to be fair, or to be, this is something I can speak to. If you shoot someone in your house and you shoot him in the head, and the police come in and you're like, yep, I took him out. I shot him in the head. I was aiming for the head. I went for the head. I shot him in the head. That's illegal. You are now going to be prosecuted.
Seriously?
Seriously. You can.
I didn't know that.
Is that in all states?
I don't know, but let me clarify. I am an instructor for Minnesota.
Gotcha.
So Minnesota and where the 27 states that we have reciprocity for our permit to carries,
mm-hmm.
that's the law. That is not allowed. You can't, and if you do pop someone in the leg, you can't walk up to him when you're done and shoot him twice in the chest or pop him in the forehead. Again, that's illegal.
So this is off topic. Now
Yes.
I'm just curious, but if someone is robbing your house or somebody comes in your house and you grab your gun, right? I mean, because in Minnesota we have stand your ground laws, right?
No, we do not. We are not a stand your ground state.
Okay.
The domicile. If you are within the four walls of your home, you have rights to shoot. You have rights to do whatever you want within your four walls.
Your homes.
Now, stand your ground is Texas.
Right.
Someone comes up to you and you just feel threatened, you pop them. That's stand your ground. Where in Minnesota, if you and I are in a parking lot, and I have the opportunity to get away from you or shoot you, that's my two choices.
You have to get away.
I have to get away.
Now, okay, so let's say they come in your house and you aim for their chest, but you hit them in the head. I mean, that's okay.
But you wouldn't tell the police. I was going for you can't just right.
Right, you were just protecting. I just fired my gun. I just fired my gun and protected. Okay.
And chances are, Jordan hit it right on the head. The adrenaline is pumping. That's part of the class. We talk about the effects adrenaline have on you. It's a 2-hour class that you have to listen to, and that's one of the topics is adrenaline and what it does for you. And I have what I consider a unique approach to my class. I ask people to watch the news. Now, I'm fairly conservative, to say the least, so I'm not afraid to tell you that the news is usually bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? But I still tell my students, watch the news. When you watch, my example is, if you're in Quick Trip, you're opening a cooler door, grabbing a Mountain Dew, and you hear a scuffle at the front, and there's a guy pointing a gun at the cashier. Okay? And You're afraid that he's going to kill her because he's out of his mind. He's screaming. He's making a fuss. Cashier's there.
Why are you assuming it's a guy? Is that toxic masculinity?
Yeah, because I'm toxic.
Okay.
That's why. That's but you look this way, right? And there's the scuffle happening, and the front door is right there. I can't get to the front door without going by the scuffle. Now I'm carrying a firearm because I'm that guy. But I look here and I see the back door. I could go out the back room. I could get in my car and I can leave. Okay. In Minnesota, that's well within my rights. Just go. I don't see anything. I'm going to go out the back door. Okay. It's also within my rights to protect that person. So,
it is.
So I can go up because she's in imminent danger. This cashier is in imminent danger. Now, what I tell my students are, I'm not going to tell you what I would do in that situation. What I'm going to say is, when you read in the news that a guy shot a guy, that a guy went out the back door, and this guy killed a cashier, however the story is, they're going to put their own spin on it because they've got an agenda.
Right.
All right. But what do we know? We do know that somebody went into a Quick Trip and held it up. We know there's a guy with a gun there that either shot him or went out the back door, whatever the story says, and we know that a cashier got killed or didn't. We know we decipher all the bullshit and we get the facts. It happened.
Right.
That's real world because you saw it on the news. It happened. It may not have happened exactly the way they told you, but decipher the nuts and bolts of it. Right. Now, put yourself in the cashier's situation and walk through that scenario. Put yourself in the shooter's situation and then put yourself through the guy at the cooler.
Yeah.
Because if you're the guy at the cooler and you hear this thing going on, you're like, I'm in Minnesota, I can leave. And you walk out the back door, you're getting in your car and you hear a gun go off. And then on the news, this poor young gal, your neighbor's daughter.
I don't think people really sit there and say, well, I'm in this specific state with this specific law.
They don't.
What am I going to do? They have an internal instinct to either fight or flight.
And you can't trust that. That's my point as an instructor.
Gotcha.
You cannot trust that. So
you can't trust your instinct?
Your instinct of fight or flight, I do not believe for 1 second that you should trust that. And the reason I say that is, if your instinct, whichever it is, fight or flight, once you do whatever you instinctually are going to do, you have to live with the repercussions of that for the rest of your life. Now, there's two things. There's many ways that scenario finishes. So hear me out. You walk out the back door, the young gal gets shot, she gets killed. You find out later on that it's your next door neighbor's daughter or granddaughter, whatever. You know that you were there. You're carrying a gun, so I'm hoping that you have trained at least a little bit, and you feel comfortable and confident with that firearm. You may have been able to stop that. You got to live with that for the rest of your life. But your instinct was flight. Instinct is fight. You go up there and it turns into a bloodbath. Okay? People get killed. You maybe get killed. You either die or you have to live with the repercussions of that.
Yeah.
Okay? You calm the guy down, you get the drop on him, you get him to drop his gun, everybody's safe, he gets arrested. Best outcome possible, right? But there's 100 different ways that goes. My point to my students is, don't rely on your fight or flight, because the fight or flight is a very momentary situation. You are not going to be thinking clearly. Adrenaline fucks with you, period. I don't care who you are. Very few people in the world are trained well enough to be able to handle that adrenaline rush and make good decisions. Now, if you listen to me and you watch the news, and every time you see a news story similar to that, you put yourself in that situation and you try to wrap your head around what's going on. This is still not the solution to all the problems. My point of doing all those exercises mentally is that if you're the guy standing at the cooler with the door open, grabbing a Mountain Dew, and the shit goes down up front, should that be the very first time that you've put thought into this?
Yeah.
How comfortable are you? And that's why I say you can't trust your fight or flight instinct. It's your instinct. And everyone says, trust your instincts. Right. My point is, can you have the instinct but still put a little logic to it? Because I'm telling you,
can you control your emotions?
Right. But can you control your emotions?
The masculine man walking through an airport, right? And we were discussing this earlier. Is you're looking 5 different ways that could be a potential threat. There's 5 exits that I could take. That just naturally, you go into a restaurant and you sit down, and typically you want to have your back facing away from the door so you could see if there was a threat coming in.
Right, but that's not instinct. That you put thought into that.
Right.
That's not instinctual.
Yeah,
I think it is ingrained in men somewhat, but we've all been told those things. Putting your back to a door. When you were 7, you were still a male, right? But at 7, you're a child. You don't think about, I'm not sitting with my back to the door.
Right.
I mean, people can call your name 2 or 3 times before you even hear it.
Yeah.
Right? But as we, and so you're making my point. You're not arguing with it. My point is that if you're going to go through, and of course, as a gun, as a firearms instructor, it's more important to me because you're not just a guy. Now you're a guy carrying a lethal weapon.
So you train the fight or flight. You basically train that out of people, right?
Yeah.
To make those collective decisions.
Yes.
How do you do that? How do you train somebody to not
You can't
experience adrenaline rush?
You can't. You can't. There's, I mean, well, I shouldn't say you can't. I can't.
Right.
Most human beings can't. I'm sure there's some Navy SEALs. There's some SEAL Team 6
Sniper
guys that can do that. That have. I'm sure there's a process for it out there somewhere. I don't have it, and you and I don't need it. My point is, at least have a rational thought, because again, when you open that cooler, you reach for that Mountain Dew, right, and the shit goes down. If you've never put any thought into this, that is
mental training.
Right. There's no mental training. That is your absolute first experience, and you have to make a decision. You're either going to stand there frozen, like, holy shit, what do I do? You drop to the ground, you run out the back door, or you go up front and possibly kill somebody.
Right.
Every single one of those actions is going to have a lasting effect on you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So does it make sense that should be the very first time the thoughts crossed your mind when you're in the situation?
That's interesting because, I mean, it goes beyond, I think, firearms.
Oh, it's
right?
way beyond firearms.
Right? I mean, again, just to turn it back to masculinity, I think as a newlywed, right? I mean, you want to protect your wife. We have kids, grandkids. We want to protect our kids. I mean, my kids are grown out of the house, but I still want to protect them.
But you still want to protect them. Yeah,
Right.
they're not your responsibility anymore. Right.
So I mean, it's that I think that if you put, do you think some people would say that's a toxic?
Absolutely.
That's toxic masculinity to think that way. To think, what am I going to do in a situation if someone approaches? I mean, my wife is 5'6", 110 pounds. So it's,
sorry, Jody.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife is tiny, right? Or my son's girlfriend, she's like 5'4", 100. She's tiny.
Yeah.
And so, like, is it toxic for my son Braden or myself to say, we're in a crowd and I'm kind of assessing things. What am I going to do?
Right.
What would I do if someone were to approach my wife or to approach my son's girlfriend or approach me in general?
Right. So let's take this another step. You're not in the picture, right?
Yeah.
You got your 2 boys, and they're not your boys anymore. You're a douchebag. You took off when they were kids, and Jody had to raise them. Are those boys still ingrained with the same protection? I mean, you have good kids, I think but my point is, and not that I think Jody's a bad parent, that's not it either. But it's different. It's different when you lose that masculine. It's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, that's a really hard question. That's why I would like, again, have a woman's perspective on it, because to your point, if you don't have a father in the home, sports is a way is an outlet for that, which I think is important.
But okay, so like your boys, they work. I mean, they're not dressed in suits, sitting behind a desk, pushing paper all day.
Nope.
Right? They work. How about that? So that's a very masculine male job, right? Career.
Well,
If
my youngest son's a nurse, so which is it was historically feminine, right? But I mean, now it's more males.
It's not
different.
Anymore,
but Blake builds. He's a carpenter.
Right, carpenter. So would that be different if you weren't around?
I don't know. That's such a good question.
And again, these are questions you honestly can't answer.
No, you can't. Yeah.
But my point is, but it makes you think. And so now a step back a little bit, going back to being a firearms instructor, okay? And Blake, big kid, tiny girlfriend, right? Okay, train that girl, right? Have her come to a few classes, train that girl, and give her a 9mm.
Yeah.
Blake's irrelevant.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say irrelevant, but you know what I'm saying. Now, because that girl walking through a parking lot or a parking structure at coming home from work at 2 a.m, she's working the second shift or something, she doesn't stand much of a chance against any of us.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, but especially you take a kid like Blake, you get a 20-something that's 6'2" and builds houses. Okay,
Yeah.
he goes after her in a parking ramp.
Yeah.
No one's going to stop that. Whatever bad is going to happen is going to happen, and we have to pick up the pieces afterwards. You train that girl, I don't care if he's 7'2". That's an equal.
We've had that conversation too. I mean, I've had it with both, really with Braden and Kaylee over, they're over in Milwaukee, and they should have some firearm training, and they should get a license to carry and all that because they, and not even just for Kaylee's sake, because I mean, she's just a tiny little girl, but
Yeah.
I don't say that to be malicious. That I mean,
No,
she's
yeah,
very petite.
Sure, yeah.
And but Braden, he works night shifts, so he's by himself. I mean, again, it's I don't think it's toxic. Again, because bring it back to the topic, it's not toxic that you want to protect yourself.
No,
you want to carry a gun or learn some self defense things. To be able to protect yourself in the event something bad should happen.
Yeah. Tom Yenny, he's a good friend of mine. He does Yenny martial arts. He and I have had this conversation in the past, and he said he has no interest in owning a gun, like a pistol, self-defense. He goes, I am my self-defense. And he's badass. And he's a little 5 foot nothing,
Yeah, those guys.
120 pound guy. To look
That's
at
the
him.
alpha in the room. When you walk into that dude.
You damn right he is. And
It's the
but
John
again,
Jones of the room.
Yeah, right.
Silent killers.
But again, right, you walk in the room and don't know him, he doesn't stand out as the alpha. He's typically one of the smaller statured guys in the room. But I've known him for a lot of years. And he, and him and I'll joke back and forth. He's like, you have no idea how fast I am. And I'm like, right, but I mean, the gun is a great equalizer if you can get to it.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. And that's one of the things we talk about in our class is like you and I, right? I mean, you're much bigger than I am. I would not fathom going toe to toe with you physically.
Right.
I'm carrying a gun. I'm 3 feet away from you.
Yeah.
I'm still screwed.
No, I don't know, man. I'm pretty slow. It takes me.
But I don't know that, right? But I don't know that. I don't know how quickly you can take up 5 feet.
Yeah, quick first step. That's all I got.
Right, but that's probably enough, because the last thing you want to do is have a weapon and hand it over to you.
Yeah, Sure.
So that's always the thing. It's like you look at a guy like Tom, even though he's a couple years older than me. If I was now, just because you're a big guy, I'm going to assume you're not fast.
Right.
That's
right,
that's so if I have a 10 or 12 foot gap, now again, we're not in the Old West. I don't have a sidearm hanging off that's just available, right?
Yeah.
I've got it concealed.
Yeah.
So I got to open a jacket, I got to lift a shirt, I got to do something to get to it.
Yeah.
Then you get into the big debate, do you have one in the chamber? If I don't have one in the chamber, I got to get to the gun, I got to access it, I got to rack it before I'm available. Now, if you have a brain in your head and you're carrying, you've got one in the chamber, because you've trained. It's dangerous to have one in the chamber, but if you're carrying a firearm, you should be trained. So for you, I see even maybe 8 feet if I'm terrified, but at 8 feet, I'm going to try to talk to you a little bit. I'm going to try to back up, and I'm going to try to show a little fear, because that's going to set you at ease. It's going to make you feel more dominant, and it's going to be less pressure for you to attack me. But if I can get just another step or two, if I can get that 9.5 to 12 feet back, you're mine.
Yeah.
Now I look at a guy like Tom. He's 5'2", weighs 100 and nothing, and now I don't know him, or if I didn't know him, but knowing Tom, I wouldn't draw on Tom if I did. I better have 18 feet to draw on Tom.
So you're saying if you do have that weapon, the gun in your holster, then you better be trained.
You better be trained. Yeah, that gun is
Elaborate
not
on that training there. Is it just training to shoot more accurately? It's emotional training as well.
Emotional training.
Yeah.
Well, the emotional is going to be being logical over emotional. When you can, I don't want to say master that, but you have to make sense of the situation. Because if I'm thinking about drawing a firearm on you, that means I'm terrified. I'm afraid for my life. That is the definition of being able to draw a firearm on you, is I have to be afraid for my life. If I'm afraid for my life, I'm not thinking straight.
Right.
So I have to be able to rationalize over emotion.
Right.
And that's number one. Number two, if I'm going to lift my shirt, draw my firearm, and I don't have to aim it at you, but I got to point it.
Yeah.
At least for the first shot. I mean, that's the other thing, is people will get into this, the true training. They're coming up, they're two hands, they're aiming, they're laying on point. Okay? No. You're in a life or death situation. The minute that barrel is clear of the holster, I'm
You should be fired,
I should,
right?
You pull that fucking trigger.
Yeah.
Because even if I'm not going to hit you, I want to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, the goal is not to kill him or even shoot him. The goal is to not get killed.
Yeah.
Right? Not get harmed.
Right.
So, and again, the law says if you come at you tell me, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I pull this gun out, and I haven't even pulled the trigger yet. As soon as I reach for this, as soon as I lift my shirt and I pull the gun out, you're like, whoa! You put your hands up, you turn around, you run away, I'm done.
Yeah.
If I shoot you now, I'm the criminal.
Yeah.
Again, we're back to that kind of like the headshot thing. That's law. If I shoot you in the back,
What if you shoot somebody like that in your house? Same thing?
different. You're
Different.
in your domicile. You're in your four walls.
So anything goes in the house.
Anything goes in the house.
Okay.
Now, you have a detached garage. Somebody breaks in your car. You go out to the garage and shoot them. Nope, that's not your house.
What if it's a attached garage?
Attached garage, you're going to go to court no matter what.
Yeah.
But attached garage, there has to be access. If it's
To the house.
To the house. There has to be access to the house. You
Interesting.
can't protect your car. If you're at Walmart parking lot and somebody's breaking the window, your backyard. Right?
Yeah.
My dogs, they're like my kids. I don't have kids at home anymore. They're all adults, right? We're
Right.
empty nesters. My dogs are like my kids. Somebody hops my fence. I have a fenced-in backyard. Somebody hops my fence. They're in my yard, and they take it to my dog. I go out there with a gun. I'm the criminal.
Really? Wow.
Yep. That dog is a possession. It's a toaster. And you can't protect possessions. You can only protect people.
Isn't that against the Constitution? The right to protect property?
Good luck. You live in a blue state, my friend.
Yeah.
You live in a blue state. Yep. There's too many liberals out there for that argument. You're not
Well,
wrong.
I'm just like thinking about it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's against the law.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but good luck. You're going to jail.
Okay.
Yep. I mean,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what I start out my classes, I always start out with the reason you're in this class is because common sense does not factor in.
Yeah.
If common sense factored in, we just need to make sure you have an IQ over 90,
Yeah.
and you'd be fine.
I'm out.
But but that's not the case. I'm going to tell you so many things during this class that you're going to go, that doesn't make sense. It's like it doesn't have to make sense. It's the law.
Yeah.
And they vary from state to state, and we live in a blue state. Our laws, especially when it comes to firearms and protecting yourself, they don't make a lot of sense.
Interesting.
So, but again, back to, does that make you toxic? Because we want to know that. I have been called toxic because I'm a firearms instructor. I have family members that are just appalled that I own a gun shop, that I would carry a firearm. Heather's grandma, she was always super nice. We get along great, but every time she'll give me a little, she'll give me a hug. And it's funny, she'll hug me and she'll go, you brought that in my house.
It's like, oh my gosh, that gun's going to make a decision of its own, right?
Yeah. And then I just tell her, she likes to wait. Then as we separate, then she likes to tell it. She likes to tell me it in front of everybody. And so I just remind her that you have no idea how much safer you are because I'm here with this.
Yeah.
And I said, if you didn't hug me, I said, this is why I'm not because I'm not a hugger. For the record. And then I make a joke about it. I'm like, this is why I'm not a hugger. Because
Jerry, big old hug after.
yeah, it's like that's none of your business. Yeah, it's like like pass. But and then they had an estate sale, and we went up for the estate sale, and they had neighbors, people they knew, not friends of theirs, but people with signs in their front yard. And I'll leave it at that. They would just walk in and they just grab stuff and put it in their pocket and walk out.
At the estate sale?
Yeah, and they're just moving into a nursing home, moving into assisted living, and they're literally people are just taking. It wasn't like a mass mob, but people are looking at stuff and they just walk out with it. It's like that has a $5 tag on it, it's a salt and pepper shaker, whatever. But they're just picking it up and walk out the door. And this is a true story. Grandma says to me, she says, "Are you carrying today?" I'm like, "Doesn't work like that, Grandma. It doesn't work like that. You don't get to pick and choose when you want to feel safe.
Yeah.
If you don't feel safe doing this, this needs to stop. I'm not going to shoot someone over a toaster.
Right.
I'm not going to lift up my shirt and threaten someone over a set of cutlery." So, again, that's training. So it's not all about training, the firearms training.
Actual shooting the guns.
Yeah. Now, some people that aren't into firearms are going to think I'm crazy. The people that are into firearms, they're going to agree with this. I've sat in my living room and watched a TV show or whatever we're doing, and I will draw my firearm 45 times in a half hour, or an hour. What is that? That's muscle memory. That's muscle memory.
That seems,
Can you guys
seems
both?
weird.
Can you guys both drive a stick?
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So how long has it been since you drove a stick?
It's been a minute. Probably
Okay.
it's been a couple years. Probably.
A couple years. So do you have to now? If I give you mine with a manual, are you
you
going to
do
have
it.
to relearn it, or are you just going to jump in and
I
go?
was jumping into it.
Just
Yeah.
jump in and go.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, yeah, I've done it. I used to own a car with
Right.
one. So,
Muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
You've done it a million times.
Yeah.
Muscle memory. You know, so when you wake up in the morning and you get through the shower, when you go to put your pants on, do you stare at the pants going right leg or left leg? What's the best approach to this, right? I mean, I know it sounds silly, but you don't. You've put pants on, I hope most every day of your life. So you just do it, right? You don't think about it. You know, it's not.
Well, now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, well, which leg do I do first? I don't know. I just do it.
But okay, breathing, your heart beating, that's involuntary. Putting pants on is not involuntary, but it feels like it. You know, driving a stick after not doing it for 2 years, you're not going to get in and God, what do I do again? Which you look at the pedals, figure out where they're at.
Right, yeah.
You just get in and do it. So again, it's good. The people that don't own firearms, that haven't trained, it sounds tinfoil hattish. It sounds crazy, but you do that muscle memory, because I'm telling you, when you're threatening me, and I've got all these things going through my head, I just don't want to die.
Yeah.
Right? The adrenaline's going, my mind is being overtaken, that anxiety that comes with adrenaline, the tunnel vision. You lose, that's a physical fact. You lose peripheral vision when adrenaline kicks in. You are literally tunnel vision. And the less you've dealt with adrenaline, the tighter the tunnel vision is. And so when you deal with all that, the last thing I want to do at that point is go, okay, the gun's on my right side. I've got a hoodie on. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
you don't want to be looking at that pair of pants going, right leg or left leg.
We're getting long
We
here,
are
so we
getting
should
long.
turn this up. But I have one thing that I think which should be worth discussing next time, whether it's Jordan and I or somebody else too. It doesn't matter. But I'd love to hear somebody that does believe or think that toxic masculinity is a thing. Like, is there ever
Can
a
we bring him
place
in
for
remotely?
it? Huh?
Can we bring him in remotely?
Yeah, we could.
Because I can shut him off.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
have to
We wouldn't want
deal.
him here. But like, is it ever okay? Is toxic in their minds, is toxic masculinity? Take your
Right.
grandma for
Right.
instance, right? Well,
That was my point.
yeah, like I kind of like it when I'm in danger.
Craig, could you be an asshole for a minute?
Yeah.
It's good for me right now.
Yeah, it's good for me right now.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
right,
The,
that's-
the ability, and that's one thing that I see a lot with people that believe toxic masculinity is true, is they pick and choose when they want it.
Yeah, yeah.
When it benefits.
When it benefits them.
But now,
Right.
let's put a different spin on that. This could be a whole other conversation by itself. My grandma story, the pick and choose, that's what we do as men.
Yeah,
That
for sure.
is what we do.
That
That
goes
is
back to
the
the
emotional
emotional control
control
piece.
that you're talking about.
Yeah.
We want. I mean, I carry a firearm, right? I'm not a baller anymore. I can't go out there and just start beating people's heads. I can't start smashing other people, but I can protect myself and my family.
Yeah.
Now, does that make me a monster? Okay, I'm going to say right now, if you have the ability to draw a firearm and shoot another human being, there's something to that. I mean, that now I wouldn't just I couldn't just do that, right? And not in cold blood. I'm going to have to be forced into that
Right.
situation on a life or death scenario. But my point is, there has to be a little monster in there to be able
There's
to
gotta be a little
accomplish that.
masculinity.
But
in
it's
there.
not only in firearms, though.
No, it's not in firearms.
It's whether or not I should continue my education and go back to school.
right.
It's,
Be a man. Protect,
should
provide.
I go for that job promotion? Do I
Right.
have the capabilities of doing that? And not just making a radical decision to quit your job because
Right.
you don't like it one day,
Right,
right?
right.
It's the
I've had
emotional,
enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the emotional maturity and the discipline to sit there and rationalize those
Right.
thoughts.
So my point is that as men, back to your point, the emotional control. Okay, that is the same as the woke believers of toxic masculinity expecting you to turn it on and off when it's convenient for them. That's a thing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to turn it on and off by my standard because I want to provide and I want to protect.
Right.
And I like using the firearm, and you're absolutely right, Jordan. It's not all about firearms. I use a firearms example because it's close to home for me. It's something I know about. I can speak to it and be accurate, and it's going to ruffle feathers. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I can use that as an example. And the people that believe in toxic masculinity, it's one more thing they're going to hate about me, but I can use it as a legitimate example.
But the point that Jordan just made was, they want you to be able to turn it on and off at their
Right.
at their convenience,
Well,
at their whim, and it doesn't matter. Like if you need to do it for you, that's toxic. If I need you to do it for me, well, that's just
Right.
I don't know what self-preservation, I guess.
Well, let's break it down to its most bare essential. When I do it, I'm in control, and I want to do it when it's going to
Back to control. That's so
benefit us.
good.
It is.
Emotional
It is.
control.
But the difference is when I choose to control it, I choose to control it. When I choose to let it go, I do it for a good reason. On their side, when they tell you to control it, you're being a good man.
Yeah.
When you choose not to control it, I'm going to hold that over your head for the rest of your life because you're toxic.
Yeah, and that goes
That's
back to the
difference.
compliance thing.
Compliance.
Yeah.
You're back to that
And when you're
compliance.
instilling that in the youth, it creates so much confusion of
Right.
do I continue down this route of trying to be a better man, or is when I do that and I get shamed for it, should I regress back into this state of confusion and
Do you have
unpredictability?
do you have like brothers, siblings at all? Like a younger brother or anything? Or?
Yeah, I have a younger brother. He came and visited me for New Year's this year. It's great to see him and his fiance. I also have an older sister, and then I
Do
have.
they share your views?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious because anybody that has more than one child will tell you no two are the same.
Absolutely not.
No two are the same.
No.
Right.
My oldest boy, he's about as liberal as they get.
Mm-hmm.
He's as woke as they come, and we don't get along.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. He considers me evil because I am very conservative. Now that wouldn't. The difference is, he can walk away and not say anything, do anything. If he were here today, I would protect him.
Sure.
I would provide for him. I would do whatever I had to do as a dad,
Mm-hmm.
even though he doesn't talk to me.
Right.
Then that's masculine, in my opinion. I'm not bragging about. I'm not asking for a pat on the back. I'm just saying that's how I view that.
Mm-hmm.
And it breaks my heart that we don't see eye to eye on things.
Mm-hmm.
And I shouldn't say that. It doesn't break my heart that we don't see eye to eye on things. He's his own man, and he's made his own decisions. And that's what I taught him. That's how I wanted to raise him. Was not don't do what I do. I want to teach you how to look at the same set of criteria or facts
And
or
then make your own
inputs
decision.
and make your own decision. And he did. What breaks my heart is that he did that, and now we can't get along. And I'm not the one that won't talk, if you want to put it that way. I'm not trying to point the finger, but it's very frustrating that you can be conservative and the bad guy and not look at the woke or the liberal side. And I don't agree, but I don't hate you for
Yeah,
it.
but we still talk. I think that's a big.
Right.
There's pros and there's goods and cons on both sides, right?
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I don't lean one way or the other. I have tendencies, but through education and reasoning, I tend to try to develop my own ideals. Just with this topic of toxic masculinity being pushed by one side, and I just don't agree with it. I don't see it being logical, or I don't want to fuel something that is going to regress us as a society.
Right.
So I'm sorry that you have to go through that as having that split household in those decisions. I mean, I come from a similar standpoint with it's not necessarily with my siblings or my cousins. I would say it's more with my parents, my aunts and uncles. They have very different mindsets, all very independently minded in how they view their. I'm not going to say who's deciding with what, but they just agree and disagree on a lot of topics, and that has caused a lot of division, not just location wise, because all of my family is all over the U.S. But not a lot of people are still in Oklahoma. I have family in Colorado, California, Ohio. And now I'm up here in Minnesota, so even more division that was based on work. But I see where you're coming from as a split household, and it really is tearing households apart, and that's what George Washington, in starting the Constitution and the establishment of it, was. George Washington said political parties are going to be the end of the U.S. Said that many, many years ago.
How many people have said, if we get destroyed, it'll be from within.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. The part that frustrates me the most is, I really pushed to be the dad that didn't just say, this is what you believe, right? This is how my dad did it. This is how I'm doing it. So this is how you're going to do it.
Right.
I didn't do that. You can't, and I'm not saying I was the best dad. I would never. I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of regrets, a lot of mistakes. But on the same token, I did try to show them, believe in what you believe. And when he started to believe differently than me, it's like, okay, well, there's some good fun ribbing that goes in it. There's some real discussions that came with it. But when it came down to, I want to discuss why I believe what I believe, and let's debate that a little bit on why you believe what you believe, and let's have a discussion. It turned into the screw you, blah blah blah.
See, and again, you can turn that back to the core. I think of what Jordan brought this up was they can't control their emotions. They can't seem to see your side of it. So therefore, their monster, whatever their monster is, tends to just rise up and and they cannot reason with themselves or with you to say, all right, I don't agree with it. But you know what? You're my dad. Or I got a cousin the same way. He cannot understand.
And that's not to say that as conservatives or whatever the debate topic is.
Yeah, then you have to be about politics.
It doesn't have to be about politics. It can be religion. It can be who you're dating. It can be where you want to live. God, kid, why do you keep dumping all the money in an apartment? Get off your ass and buy a house.
Right.
Well, that's a discussion itself. It's like, if he doesn't want a house, go buy a house. Do what you got to do. But when you have these discussions, and that's not to say that you don't lose your temper once in a while.
For sure.
They're just going after, also like, Jesus, use your head. What do you, and so what you just called him stupid, and now that's not right. Shouldn't have said that, but that's what happens. And again, we're all people. We're not perfect. Again, is that going to come up where, well, did you say this? Yeah, that was being an asshole then. I did.
And again, that goes back, like, you're not toxic. You are an asshole.
Yeah, I was out of control.
Toxic.
Yep, I was out of control for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I said something like, you're an idiot. You should be doing this. Well, don't call people stupid, right? I mean, nobody's gonna like that. And again, we're back to that whole
stupid is, stupid does.
Right. But you lose control. And it happens. But for my thought is I'm going to walk away going, well, we argued for 2 hours and I lost it for 3 minutes. I feel pretty good about that. But yeah, so one thing I want to commend to you guys on, which was my whole intention on this, with this topic, it would have been very easy to come in here today and just be loud and be controversial and just look for that offensive take on the topic, which I did not want. And I know you guys, I know that wasn't when I don't want, I'm fairly convinced that at some point, one of these episodes, something will probably move into that. It'll happen.
Well, I think so.
Not,
and I think it will. And I think, again, it's okay that if it does, as long as you can have some positive discourse as far as,
some
hey,
discussion.
You listen, this is what I think. I mean, you again, the generational difference here is huge.
We could have argued about that rather than going, that's cool. I mean, but we took the time to go young, newlywed, no kids, not young, not newlywed, 2 grown adults.
Yeah.
Not young, extremely not young, and grandkids, and it's like, wow, this is, you and I are only 3 years apart, but there's a separation. That grandkids it's a different level.
Well, I mean, my kids aren't married, none of that.
Right. So you've got some time before that comes, and you've got a long road ahead of you. So the fact that the 3 of us would have differing views, but we can all respect where each other's coming from. Because I'm telling you right now, I guarantee it, 25 years from now, when you're my age, when you're our age, you will look at this differently.
Yeah, I think so. And that's why I'm really interested to see how this progresses with him. I'm not sure who else is on the ages of the other potential guests, but
all over the board.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real interesting dynamic when, with someone that's 25 versus someone that's 60, 70, right? That says, well, I growing up, was, fighting and like you said, way more physical. That's the way I was. That was the thing. I find it really interesting and quite refreshing that someone your generation is saying, no, toxic masculinity isn't a thing. and this is why. And it's not about I can just beat people up.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
I'm not just we're not Neanderthals.
Yeah.
So I mean I am. So that's how I look at
Right.
it. And then it's okay, but no, I want to lead. I want to be because listen,
See, but
your
that's progression
generation
in
is
itself,
the lead.
though.
The next are going to lead our country. I mean that's
Right.
what it's about.
That's progression in itself, though, is seeing archaic views, seeing the pros of them, also seeing the cons of them, and adapting and changing for the better.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Right.
So, but to just call something toxic is negative,
Right.
and I don't want that in my life.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and that
Well-
to me, I feel like that's what people should have in their mindset.
Yeah.
And this vast movement of people dehumanizing people and saying that's toxic masculinity, this, that, and the other. It puts fear. It's fear mongering. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's instilling fear in the youth, in regressing as a society.
I don't want to start a new conversation. I just want to mention this, and we'll maybe make this a conversation, a future episode. I had a brief conversation with a friend of mine, fairly woke, hard to talk to, and I mean for me personally,
But you called him a friend.
But she is a friend of mine.
Yeah.
She absolutely is a friend of mine. I do anything for her, and I feel like you'd probably go the same way, on my end. But hard to talk to on certain topics.
Sure.
I'd like to dive into those topics.
Well,
I would too.
yeah.
Yeah.
This one's really unique.
I feel like I
'cause
could agree with some of them, if the points are valid.
Okay, so here's the comment she made: wars.
Yeah.
Because I made the comment that we were doing. I talked to her about doing this podcast,
Yeah.
thinking that maybe I'd invite her into this, which I'm really up in the air on it, but maybe. But she said when I said, the definition of toxic, is it a thing? Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. She's 100% convinced it's a thing.
Okay.
I was like, okay. And she goes, well, she says, let's look on the global scheme. Wars. Wars are toxic masculinity. Women don't take us into wars, men do. That was her. So I was like, well, now hang on. I said, no, this is not being a chauvinist, but you're not wrong, right? Women have not started wars. Women have not put us into wars, but women have also not.
I think that's open for discussion, Jerry. I mean, honestly, just because we've never had a woman president of the United States, does that mean that women aren't influencing?
Right now,
They're in cabinet.
Just
They're
because women didn't push the button or
Right.
make the call,
but see, so I dug myself a hole.
but she
I
is
said-
right on that.
she is right.
She is
on
right.
that
I
aspect.
mean, yeah, from a
Right.
factual standpoint, she's right. Women have not put us into war.
Right.
So then I dug my hole a little deeper and I said, well, women aren't in charge. Now, again, I don't mean that to say men are better.
Yeah.
It's none of that. It's just historically, I get one vote.
Yeah.
There's 340 million Americans. I get one vote. And I don't get a vote on who's I get to vote for. Who my choices are.
There is a
So-
system that has oppressed women from
Right.
the capability to get. To
Right.
that
So,
Yep.
so at
Fair.
no point am I saying women aren't capable of leading.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying women haven't led. They have not been put in a position. They have not gained that position.
Right.
Now in Europe, there's a few female prime ministers, but let's face it, Europe's weak. All of their little countries, none of them could fight their way out of a wet paper bag. They all call on us when the shit happens.
Yeah.
So the major
And
countries,
prime
you look
ministers
at-
have no power anyway. It's all parliament.
Right.
So.
They have no. Yeah. They have
It's
no
not.
power.
It's geographic though. Why they're
Right.
weak. It's not because the women are prime.
Right. It
ministers.
has nothing to do with the women. I'm just saying the countries themselves are weak.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the women being there. I'm just saying they're not starting wars because they can't fight in them.
Yeah.
Right.
So
There's
when
not
you
a centralized
No.
government
who
that can
I mean,
protect itself.
Germany is tiny, and for some reason they thought they could defeat the world twice. Okay, not a good strategy.
Right.
But you look at the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, Russia, never had a woman in charge.
Yeah.
The United States never had a woman in charge. Okay, so to say that women didn't put us in a worse, you're right, but they haven't been in a position to be able to yet.
Right.
Now, again, this is not speaking.
in a position where they have to.
Right, yeah.
I mean, if
absolutely.
a woman, I mean,
It's
I
all
would ask
speaking
this-
hypothetically.
It's all hypotheticals
Yeah.
at this point, and so then
But you
it led
can't make
into
an
another-
argument on hypotheticals.
No.
Like you can make a debate, and you could highlight
a
your
great
viewpoint,
discussion.
but you can't
Oh, yeah, we
say
can have
something's fact off hypotheticals.
No, we can have a great discussion on it.
Right.
But then, like I say, I dug my hole deeper when I said, well, women have never been in charge of the countries that are capable of really starting something significant. And so then it turned into that. It's like, I didn't say women aren't capable of it. I'm saying they haven't
just
had
haven't
they
been
haven't had
in-
the capacity because they've never
The
been put in
opportunity.
that position. Yeah, the opportunity. Thank you. That's more of a, and you know, so that. But again, that's something that I was like, how can you make a stand that women are better leaders because they've never taken us into war when they've never led the country?
This goes back to your firearm story, really, right? Like if they've never had to do it, they've never had been presented with that choice.
Right.
I mean, would this gal that you're talking about, if she was president, or if we had a woman president,
Yep.
right? And I don't know, Russia launched a rocket at Alaska.
Yep.
Would she be just like, yeah, you know what? Just that's toxic.
Yep.
We'll just let they'll be fine. They'll tire themselves out.
Right, right. Well, I turned it political, which again I shouldn't have, but I did. I said, you cried about Trump bitching that the 2020 election was stolen from him, that he was a child, he was this, he was that, he was a hothead, da da da. I said, let's not forget. Let's go back to 2016.
Yeah,
We
never
had
ended.
it.
4 years at it.
Right. We had a legitimate. Well, 2016, the election. I mean, in 2016, we had a legitimate female candidate, and she got beat. She didn't come out for 2 days to give her concession speech. When have we ever seen a guy? Because now again, she was the first female candidate, so she was the first female loser. I mean,
Yeah.
of a presidential race. But up until then, when men lose, we're not happy about it, right? But they come out and they're like, all right, he's your guy.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And you thank the people that helped you, and you try to console the ones that helped you, that lost with you, and you concede and you move on. Our first woman candidate couldn't concede. She couldn't bring herself to get on stage and say, you beat me.
Yeah, I lost. Yeah.
Right. Now, Trump, in 2020, he was childish about it.
Yeah.
But I think now that we see the facts, the numbers, it's hard to argue with him. But again, that's not what this discussion's about.
Right.
But he was childish about it. But he came out when...
Yeah, I don't agree with his actions and how he.
No, I don't agree with his actions
No.
either. Right. But he came out, and he did concede.
Right.
He's like, I'm not happy about this, and I'm out. But this was stolen from me.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not convinced that it wasn't. But again, that's neither here nor there. I have no decision making in that, and at this point, it's all over and done. Doesn't matter. But that's what we have to remember. Our first woman's presidential candidate is she couldn't concede in a timely manner. That's
Toxic femininity.
Well, it is. That's she was being an asshole. She was being an asshole right then. That was not the responsible thing to do. She literally had half the country. Within a few percentage points, she had half the country behind her. And she couldn't come out and tell those people how much they meant to her, their support.
Yeah.
She owed that to them. Every candidate does. And
Same thing happened this election too, with Kamala Harris. She had a rally.
Yeah.
And she was supposed to come out, and she never came out that night and said,
she
"We're just
disappeared."
One of her advisors came out and said, "She's just gonna make a speech tomorrow. I appreciate all of you guys coming out."
Yep. So
before the race was even done.
Before it was called.
Exactly.
It was obvious where it was headed,
Right.
but it hadn't been called yet. And so twice in the history of this country we've had, and I should say, I don't know that that's a fact, that no other presidential loser has come out right away.
Not conceded right away, yeah.
Right.
But it may not have been their call as well. Their party itself may have made the decision to not own up to it, the loss. So, in my opinion, I mean, the president has constitutional powers, like right to military, but I feel like a vast majority of their party just kind of controls them and tells them what to say and what to do.
I mean, even Biden
especially
came out and
with
said,
all the lobbyists.
and then left. I mean, but we knew what he meant. We knew he conceded.
Right. All right.
All right, guys. Well, we went way over. I hope everybody enjoys this, both of our listeners. And we'll tell your friends, and we'll try to get some more. Guys, thanks for showing up, and I hope we can do it again.
Yep.
Awesome.
Till next time.
Have a great day.